Let me tell you about a neighbor I know. No special skills, no landscaping budget, no contractor. Just a weekend, a few ideas, and the quiet determination to stop walking past their outdoor space and feeling nothing. 3 weeks later, people were slowing down on the street to look. Someone knocked on the door and asked for the name of their garden designer. There was no garden designer. There was just someone who finally decided to stop waiting and start doing. Here is what I have learned after years on this channel. The gap between the outdoor space you have right now and the outdoor space that makes people stop and stare is almost never about money. It is almost never about skills. It is about knowing which 12 moves to make and making them in the right order. Today on Daily Garden Fix, 12 simple outdoor DIYs that will completely transform your space. And yes, your neighbors are absolutely going to notice. Let's build something worth staring at. Welcome back to Daily Garden Fix, the channel where we prove, week after week, that the outdoor space you have always imagined does not require the budget you think it does. Smash that like button right now. Every idea in today's video was handpicked for 2026. What is trending, what actually works in real outdoor spaces, and what delivers the kind of transformation that feels almost unreasonable for what it costs. Stick with me to the end, because idea number 10 is the single most commented on transformation type on this entire channel. People cannot believe the before and after. It is coming up, and you do not want to miss it. Let's get into it. Idea 1. Frame your entrance with a statement arch. Idea number 1. And we start here because this is the move that changes the relationship between your outdoor space and everyone who looks at it, from the street, from the gate, from the moment they arrive. A statement arch at the entrance to your garden or outdoor space does something that no amount of planting or furniture can do. It creates a threshold, a moment of transition, a signal that says something worth entering is on the other side of this. Build it from 2 lengths of galvanized steel electrical conduit bent into an arch shape using a simple pipe bender, anchored into ground spike sockets either side of your pathway. Connect the 2 arches at the top with horizontal crossbars using conduit clips. The entire frame goes up in a single afternoon with no specialist tools. Train climbing roses along both uprights. A repeat flowering variety in deep coral, blush pink, or warm cream. Fill the gaps with sweet peas for seasonal fragrance and color. By midsummer, the arch disappears entirely under a cascade of blooms, and the entrance to your outdoor space looks like something from a magazine shoot. For a more contemporary look, skip the climbing plants entirely. Use the bare steel arch as a sculptural frame and hang a single large outdoor lantern from the apex. Clean, architectural, and genuinely arresting. Paint the steel with a rust-inhibiting primer in matte black or deep forest green before installation. 1 coat. It lasts for years. Budget, $50 to $90. The upgrade that makes your entrance impossible to walk past without looking twice. Idea 2. Build a raised fire pit lounge pad. Idea number 2. Because the outdoor space that makes neighbors jealous is not just beautiful to look at from the street. It is beautiful to be in, and they know it. A raised fire pit lounge pad is a defined, elevated platform, 4 inches above the surrounding ground level, that give your fire pit zone its own stage, its own visual weight, its own sense of occasion. Lay a rectangle of large format concrete pavers on a compacted gravel base, dry set, no mortar. Make it generous, at minimum 2 meters by 2.5 meters. Big enough for 4 to 6 seats arranged comfortably around the fire pit with room to stretch out. Raise the perimeter of the pad by 1 course of tumbled concrete edging blocks, flush to the outer paver edge. This single course of edging is what creates the elevated, intentional look that separates a fire pit zone from a fire pit just sitting on the ground. Center your fire pit on the pad. Surround it with 4 low concrete block seats, topped with sealed hardwood boards. Drop an outdoor rug beneath the seating in a warm terracotta or deep teal pattern, sized generously enough that all 4 seat legs sit on it comfortably. String warm Edison lights in a low overhead loop between 2 shepherd's hook stakes planted at diagonal corners of the pad. At night, this lounge pad glows. And every neighbor walking past at 9 o'clock on a Friday evening knows exactly what kind of space is on the other side of your fence. Budget, $120 to $220. The social upgrade that announces itself. Idea 3. Panel your fence with color. Idea number 3. And this one takes less than a Saturday and delivers more visual impact per dollar spent than almost anything else on this list. Most residential fences are brown, or gray, or the particular shade of weathered timber that says, "I have not thought about this fence since the day it went in." Pick one fence panel, or one full run if you're feeling bold, and paint it a color that stops people in their tracks. Not a safe color, a real color. For 2026, deep sage green against warm timber furniture. Dusty terracotta behind a wall of trailing white jasmine. Inky navy as a backdrop for terracotta pots in descending sizes. Or the move that is generating the most reaction on gardening channels this year. A single panel in warm charcoal black, with a grid of copper pipe shelving mounted directly onto it, holding a curated collection of succulents and trailing plants. Use exterior masonry or timber paint rated for outdoor use. 2 coats. The coverage is the finish. Keep it clean and even. The painted panel creates an instant focal point. It gives every piece of furniture, every plant, and every decorative element in front of it something to stand against. It makes the whole space feel curated rather than accumulated. One panel, one color, one afternoon. Budget, $15 to $40. The highest impact per hour upgrade on this entire list. Idea 4. Hang a DIY outdoor chandelier. Idea number 4. The upgrade that makes your outdoor space feel like a destination rather than just a yard. An outdoor chandelier, suspended overhead from a guide wire stretched between 2 fixed points, changes the vertical dimension of your outdoor space completely. It draws the eye upward. It fills the space above seated head height with something worth looking at. And at night, it creates the kind of warm, ambient glow that makes every conversation feel like it matters. Build it from a salvaged wooden wheel, a driftwood branch, or a large embroidery hoop. Any circular or organic form with visual character. Drill evenly spaced holes around the circumference. Thread outdoor-rated Edison bulb string lights through the holes, letting each bulb hang at a slightly different length below the frame for a cascading effect. Seal the frame with exterior varnish. Attach 3 lengths of heavy-gauge galvanized wire at equal points around the frame and join them to a single central hook above. Hang the entire assembly from a ceiling hook screwed into a beam or from a guide wire tensioned between 2 fence posts. Use warm white bulbs only, 2,700 Kelvin. The warmth of the light is what makes people look good and feel good in the space beneath it. Solar-powered fairy string lights mean no wiring, no electrician, and no power bill. The chandelier charges during the day and glows automatically from dusk. Budget, $25 to $60. The overhead statement that no one expects and everyone remembers. For ideas in, and we have framed the entrance, built the social zone, added color, and lit the overhead. But coming up, the idea that generates more neighbor attention than any other single upgrade on this list. It involves water, sound, and a wall transformation that costs under $150. That is idea number 7. Keep watching. Idea 5. Create a tiered terracotta pot display. Idea number 5. The display that looks like it took a professional stylist a full day to arrange and takes you about 2 hours. Terracotta pots are having a full resurgence in 2026, and for good reason. Their warm, earthy tone works with every planting style, every color palette, and every garden aesthetic from Mediterranean to maximalist to minimal. Grouped in a tiered display, they create a sculptural focal point that reads as considered and intentional from across the garden. Source pots in at least 4 different sizes: large, medium, small, and miniature. Stack the 2 smallest on top of the 2 mid-sized ones using a thick piece of exterior timber or a sealed paving slab as a riser between levels. Cluster them together at varying heights rather than spacing them evenly apart. Tightly grouped is always more visually striking than spread out. Plant each pot with something different in character. A tall architectural plant in the largest, olive tree, bay laurel, or structural grass. A trailing plant in the mid-sized pots. Nasturtium, lobelia, or creeping jenny that spills over the rim and softens the terracotta edge. A collection of herbs in the small pots. Rosemary, thyme, and compact basil. And a single vivid, succulent rosette in the miniature. Seal the inside of each pot with terracotta sealant before planting. It reduces water loss through the walls and extends the life of the pot significantly. Budget: $40 to $80 for pots and plants. A display that improves every week as the plants grow and fill. Idea 6. Build a sleeper with garden border. Idea number 6. The structural upgrade that gives every garden, no matter how small, how flat, or how featureless, a sense of depth, form, and design intention. Railway sleepers, or new hardwood sleeper-style timbers for those who prefer a cleaner look, laid flat on the ground to create raised border edges, do something that no amount of planting alone can achieve. They give the garden a three-dimensional structure, a framework, a set of defined edges that make everything inside them look placed rather than simply growing. Lay your sleepers directly on the ground. No fixing required for a single course. For 2 or more courses, drill and pin with galvanized rebar through the timber into the ground below. Fill the raised area behind them with quality topsoil and plant immediately. The design move that makes this upgrade genuinely striking. Use sleepers not just as straight border edges, but as stepping elements within the garden. A sleeper laid flat and half-buried makes a natural garden step. 2 sleepers laid parallel with gravel between them create a pathway that looks like it was designed by a landscape architect. Treat new hardwood sleepers with a dark exterior timber oil, ebony, dark walnut, or charcoal. Fresh sleepers in a dark oiled tone against bright green planting is one of the most visually powerful combinations in outdoor design. Budget: $60 to $140 depending on length. A structural upgrade that organizes the entire garden around it. Idea 7. Install a wall-mounted water blade feature, $535 to $620. Idea number 7. The upgrade I told you about. The one your neighbors will see, hear, and quietly wish they had thought of first. A water blade feature is a wall-mounted sheet of water, a thin, flat, perfectly even film that falls from horizontal stainless steel or copper spout mounted at height on your fence or exterior wall into a sealed reservoir below. Unlike a traditional water feature that trickles or bubbles, a water blade produces a wide, silent, glass-like sheet of moving water that catches light in a way nothing else in an outdoor space does. Mount a horizontal spout bracket to your fence at approximately 1.5 meters from the ground. A length of copper pipe with a perfectly even slot cut along its lower face works beautifully. Water exits along the entire length simultaneously, producing the characteristic wide sheet. Seal a large rectangular stone trough or a sleek glaze planter at the base to serve as the reservoir. Fit a submersible pump inside and run the feed pipe up through the wall cavity or along the fence face, concealed inside copper pipe casing that doubles as part of the aesthetic. The water blade is completely visible from outside your garden, and that is the entire point. It is the feature that announces, before anyone steps inside, that the space behind this fence is different from every other space on the street. At night, angle a single underwater LED inside the trough upward. The falling sheet of water catches the beam and the entire wall behind it shimmers. Budget: $100 to $160. The most conversation-starting upgrade on this entire list. Idea 8. Plant a bold statement container garden. Idea number 8. The upgrade that most people think requires a large space, a large budget, and a professional eye, and requires none of those things. A bold statement container garden is 3 to 5 large, matching containers, same material, same color, same finish, planted dramatically and positioned with intention rather than scattered randomly across the patio. The matching container rule is everything. A single large pot looks decorative. 3 identical large pots in a deliberate arrangement look designed. The repetition of form creates a rhythm that the eye reads as intentional. And that distinction is the difference between a space that looks styled and a space that just looks like it has plants in it. For 2026, oversized matte black metal planters in a cylinder or tapered cone form, filled with a single bold planting in each. One with a tall ornamental grass, Pennisetum or miscanthus, stems arching dramatically over the rim. One with a structural plant, a standard bay, a clipped boxball, or a single olive on a clear stem. And one with a mass of trailing color, tumbling petunias, calibrachoa, or cascading nasturtium in a rich warm tone. Group two together and separate the third, placed 3 feet away as a visual counterpoint. This asymmetric grouping is what professional garden stylists use to create tension and movement in a planted display. Budget, $60 to $130. The arrangement that looks expensive before anyone reads a price tag. 8 ideas in and 4 to go. Coming up, idea number 10 is the transformation that people on this channel talk about more than any other. A before and after that genuinely does not look like the same space. It takes one weekend and it costs less than a decent dinner out. Do not go anywhere. Idea 9, add a pergola sail and side drapes. Idea number 9, the upgrade that transforms an open, exposed patio into an outdoor room, with walls, a ceiling, shade, and the kind of sheltered intimacy that makes a space feel like a place to stay rather than a place to pass through. A pergola sail, a large UV-rated fabric panel pulled taut overhead between fixed anchor points, is not a new idea on this channel. But paired with side drapes, it becomes something completely different. Hang 2 to 3 panels of outdoor voile or weather-resistant linen curtain fabric from a horizontal conduit rail fixed between 2 upright posts or between your fence and the house wall. The drapes do not need to close. They do not need to be functional in the way interior curtains are. They need to move in the breeze, filter the light, and define the vertical edges of your outdoor room. In white or warm ivory, side drapes against a sage or navy sail overhead create a Mediterranean terrace effect that looks like it belongs on a Greek island rather than in a residential backyard. In warm terracotta or dusty blush, the combination reads as boho luxe, the aesthetic that is generating more engagement on gardening and outdoor living content than any other visual style this year. Clip a string of solar fairy lights along the top of the drape rail, so the lights are framed by fabric when they glow after dark. Budget, $40 to $90. The upgrade that gives your outdoor space a ceiling and 4 walls without a single planning permission. Idea 10. Transform a plain wall with vertical garden panels. Idea number 10. The before and after I promised you. The transformation that generates more messages, more comments, and more shared screenshots on this channel than anything else we cover. A blank exterior wall, whether it's brick, render, timber boarding, or concrete block, is the single most underused canvas in any outdoor space. And a vertical garden panel system turns that blank wall into a living, breathing, layered installation of foliage and color that completely redefines what the space feels like to stand in. Modular pocket panel systems, grids of individual fabric or recycled plastic growing pockets mounted to a backing frame fixed to the wall, are available in sizes from a single square meter up to a full wall installation. Fix the backing frame to the wall using exterior screws and wall plugs. Hang the pocket panels from a frame. Fill each pocket with quality potting mix and a single plant. The planting selection is everything. Mix foliage textures aggressively. Large tropical look leaves alongside fine ornamental grasses alongside trailing ivy and draping string of pearls. Add a line of flowering plants across the center of the panel. Impatiens, begonias, or calibrachoa for color that persists from spring to autumn. A self-watering reservoir panel fitted at the top of the system feeds moisture down through the pockets via capillary action, reducing watering to once a week in summer, once a fortnight in autumn. The finished wall stops being a wall. It becomes the focal point of the entire space. The thing people see first. The thing they photograph. The thing that makes every neighbor who walks past stop, look up, and feel that particular mix of admiration and envy that means you got it exactly right. Budget, $70 to $150. The transformation that does not look like the same space. Idea 11. Lay a moonlight gravel garden. Idea number 11. The outdoor space that looks extraordinary not just during the day, but especially after dark. A moonlight gravel garden is a design concept built around plants and materials that reflect and amplify low light. Silver foliage, white flowers, pale gravel, polished stone. Every element chosen not for how it looks in the midday sun, but for how it looks at 9 o'clock on a warm summer evening when the solar lights come on and the garden begins to glow from within. Lay a generous circle or free-form sweep of white or pale silver decorative gravel, marble chips, or white quartzite as the base layer. Plant within and around it using exclusively silver and white-tone plants. Artemisia, silver mound for dense, metallic foliage. White salvia for tall spires of flower that catch every photon of available light. Stachys byzantina, lamb's ears for large, touchable, intensely silver leaves at ground level. White cosmos for movement and delicacy. Set 2 or 3 solar spike lights at low angles within the planting so they illuminate upward through the foliage rather than down onto it. The effect after dark is of a garden that produces its own light. Silver leaves shimmering, white flowers glowing, gravel catching every point of illumination and amplifying it outward. In daylight, the moonlight garden is beautiful, calm, and sophisticated. After dark, it is genuinely magical. Budget, $50 to $100. The garden that saves its best performance for the evening. Idea 12. Style your space with the jealousy audit. Idea number 12. The final idea. And this one does not cost a single dollar because it is not a build. It is the edit, the jealousy audit. Stand at the boundary of your outdoor space, the point where someone walking past would stop and look. Then ask yourself 5 questions that the best outdoor spaces answer instinctively. First, is there one thing that makes me look twice? Every space that generates genuine admiration has a single dominant feature that earns the first glance. The arch, the water blade, the chandelier, the vertical garden wall. If your eye wanders without landing anywhere in particular, you do not have a focal point yet. Pick one idea from this list and make it the anchor. Second, is there something happening at every level? Ground level, knee height, seated eye level, standing eye level, and overhead. Run through each one. Most outdoor spaces are rich at ground level and empty above. Fill the verticals, a hanging chandelier, a wall panel, a sail overhead, draping side curtains. Height is what makes a space feel full rather than flat. Third, would this look good in the dark? Walk outside at night. If the space disappears after sunset, the lighting is not layered. Apply the solar lighting approach from Idea 10 before any other change. The space that glows at 9 in the evening is the space people talk about. Fourth, is there a surprise? The best outdoor spaces have one element that you do not see until you are inside them. Something that rewards the person who steps through the gate. A hidden seating nook. A moonlight garden corner that only reveals itself at dusk. A small water feature tucked behind a planted screen. Surprise crée delight. Delight creates the conversation that starts with, you have to see their garden. Fifth, does it look like a decision or a collection? Same metal finish on your fixtures. Same gravel tone throughout. Same timber species across all your structures. When materials and finishes repeat intentionally across a space, it reads as designed. When they are mixed without intention, it reads as accumulated. One is beautiful. One is just full. Run this audit. Make the edits. Then walk to the boundary, turn around, and look at what you have built. Your neighbors already noticed. 3 bonus tips that separate the outdoor spaces people admire from the ones they love. Bonus tip 1. Odd numbers only. In outdoor styling, odd number groupings always look more natural and considered than even ones. 3 pots instead of 4. 5 plants instead of 6. A cluster of 7 solar stake lights instead of 8. The odd number is the designer's secret, and it costs absolutely nothing to apply. Bonus tip 2. Repeat one color 3 times. Pick one accent color: terracotta, deep teal, warm brass, matte black. and make sure it appears in at least 3 places across your outdoor space. In a port, in a cushion, in a light fitting, in a painted fence detail. The repetition of color is what creates the sense that the space was designed by one mind rather than assembled from separate shopping trips. Bonus tip 3. Add fragrance at the gate. The neighbor who walks past and catches jasmine, rosemary, or lavender at your gate does not just see your garden. They experience it. Scent is the most emotionally powerful design tool in any outdoor space, and it works on people who never even step inside. Plant your most fragrant specimen closest to the boundary. Let it do its work on everyone who passes. 12 simple outdoor DIYs that will transform your space. A statement arch that reframes your entire entrance. A fire pit lounge pad that earns its own stage. A painted fence panel that changes the personality of the whole garden. A handmade outdoor chandelier that turns the overhead into a feature. A tiered terracotta display that gets better every week. Sleeper wood borders that give the garden its structure. A water blade that makes people stop on the street. A bold container arrangement that looks designed before it looks planted. A pergola sail and side drapes that build your outdoor room's walls and ceiling. A vertical garden wall transformation that does not look like the same space. A moonlight gravel garden that saves its best for after dark. And a jealousy audit that makes sure every decision you make from this point forward is the right one. Here is the truth about the neighbor I told you about at the start of this video. They were not talented. They were not experienced. They were not working with a beautiful space to begin with. They were just someone who watched a video like this one, picked the first idea that felt right, and started. That is all it takes. Pick one idea from today's list. Just one. Do it this weekend. In 3 weeks from now, someone is going to slow down on your street and look, and you're going to know exactly why. Drop a comment right now. Tell me which idea you're starting with. I read every single one, and I reply to everyone. If you're new to Daily Garden Fix, welcome. Subscribe and hit the bell because fresh ideas come out every week, and 2026 is the year your outdoor space finally becomes the one everyone is talking about. Share this with one person whose outdoor space is waiting for this video. It might be exactly the push they needed. I will see you in the next one. Go build something your neighbors are going to envy. Take care. Bye.